Hi, folks. I'm Richard Friedman, and welcome to my Trump cartoon countdown for March 16th, 2020. Every week, we do the Trump cartoon countdown based on the number of impressions on Twitter. And I just do a tabulation and put it in order, and then we have a go at it. So let's start off. This week I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to do the top six cartoons from Twitter of this past week. Here we go. Starting off with numero seis. Okay. Here, let's look at this. The characters here. This is President Trump, and here's President Trump having a dream about. Now, I'll read this to you. Let's get into it. Okay, Trump has fantastic dream about hosting a coronavirus Fox News show. Given his statements about his natural ability for science because of his super genius uncle, quote, super genius uncle, who was an MIT professor, and claims CDC officials even ask him how he knows so much about the coronavirus. So President Trump here is representing himself in a sense as a science authority based upon his uncle, the scientific genetic genes that he inherited from his uncle, gives him this scientific ability. And here's the basic cartoon here. So here's President Trump on it's Fox News Sunday. Well, here's President Trump on Trump, Fox, Coronavirus News Sunday. Okay, the new show every week. You get the updated news, scientific news on the coronavirus, sponsored by President Trump. And just as an incidentally, the president was being interviewed, and he asked about how his ratings were for a town meeting he did on Fox News. So he chose that he really wants to get back into broadcasting at some point. So I figured he might have, that coupled with what his scientific genetical background is, I put it all together and thought about a dream he might have had. And here's a dream about Trump, Fox, coronavirus news show on Fox News. Okay, now here's President Trump dreaming along here, and here's the dream. There's President Trump, and he's announcing for his first show, fantastic news from Sleep Haven Nursing Home. It's a nursing home somewhere. The virus is under tremendous control. President Trump has emphasized that in spite of what the medical authorities and the scientists say, that we haven't even touched the iceberg yet in terms of what could occur. President Trump is jumping ahead. He's saying we got it under control. You know, it's kind of like the guys on the Titanic when they're steering the ship. Oh, up there, we got everything under control. Here's the iceberg. You know, it's kind of like that, you know? So anyway, here's President Trump, okay? And he was saying, fantastic news from Sleep Haven Nursing Home. The virus is under tremendous control. These men were roommates. The man in the wheelchair is now 100% healthy, okay? So here he is. So here is the two men here. So this guy wasn't so lucky. He got the virus and unfortunately passed away. And here's on his tombstone is written, Make America Great Again, Tom McGee, 1942 to 2020. Okay, Make America Great Again, 1942 to 2020. And there's the flowers, and there's the cross, and there's the tree, and there he is. Okay, all right. And here's the man who's 100% well. Here's his roommate right here. His roommate was, President Trump is pointing out that his roommate is 100% well, okay? Okay, his roommate is 100% well, and this guy didn't fare so well, you know? He might have had some preconditions or something like that. Nothing to laugh at, but again, this reflects a dream that President Trump might have had based upon his super optimistic Wonderland predisposition to viewing this coronavirus situation. So that's the cartoon. Here's the man who's 100% well, and here's the man who didn't make out too well, his roommate at the nursing home in a dream, okay? So that proves that we've got under control because this man did not die and he was his roommate, so that would prove that we have tremendous control over the virus because we were able to protect him from catching the virus. That's the essence of the cartoon that I did here. That this is Trump's hypothesis in a dream, okay? President Trump, okay. Here is another cartoon. Again, here is President Trump with Mick Mulvaney, okay? And here is Trump says the coronavirus death rate of 3.4% stated by World Health Organization is a false alarm, and says now this is just my hunch, but based upon a lot of conversations, probably one could have been with Mick Mulvaney here, but when he was in that position. Right after this cartoon, the day after, he was like, oh, I don't know, that was probably coincidence. I don't claim to have any kind of superpowers or anything, but I thought it was a little funny coincidence. A lot of conversations. Personally, I'd say the number is way under 1%. Below 1%. One of the conversations the president conceivably had with his acting White House Chief of Staff, Mick Mulvaney, March 5th, 2020. Okay, so here's Mick Mulvaney, here's the president's desk, here's President Trump, the door to the Oval Office, you see here, okay. And here, let's have a go at it. Mick Mulvaney, President Trump, the Oval Office. Mick, if this coronavirus shit destroys my fantastic stock market, blows up my huge energy agricultural trade deals with China, and just F.S my economy with low unemployment, I won't even be able to blame the fake news or Fed for not slashing interest rates. Well, we know the Fed just recently really dropped the rates big time. So this was before that, okay? Okay. How should I fight this threat to my reelection, Mick? And then Mick Mulvaney says here, Mr. President, you have to stay upbeat. It's all just statistics. If you have a statistical hunch that the death rate is below 1% based on conversations and people working and getting well without reporting it, then as president, your hunch is rallying the American people. And here's President Trump retorting back to Mick in this cartoon. He's retorting back. That's it, Mick. I'm playing my hunch for America, like that old TV show, Play Your Hunch with Merv Griffin. Well, there was a TV show like that back in the mid-'60s called Play Your Hunch, where that was like a game show that Merv Griffin hosted. So I just thought of that, a hunch, play your hunch. So for those people who are in my age group who can remember way back to the mid-'60s, I was a teenager then, but I remember the show was a good show, and I just threw that in, a sense of a little humor there, along with the facts, as I always try to say that I'm just presenting you some humor along with the facts, and you make the call. So that was that one here, okay? Okay, now here we got this interesting cartoon here. It is more of not so much of a cartoon, it's more of a little bit of a written thing. Here, a future conceivable tweet from President Donald J. Trump in the event Joe Biden walks away with a sizable win in delegates, which is what happened, over Bernie Sanders on Super Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, given the president's below tweet from March 4th, 2020. So this is what the president tweeted on March 4th here. We got that right? Yeah. March 4th. Okay, this is what he tweeted here. Okay, the Democrat establishment came together and crushed Bernie Sanders again. Even the fact that Elizabeth Warren stayed in the race was devastating to Bernie and and allowed Sleepy Joe to unthinkably win Massachusetts. It was a perfect storm with many good states remaining for Joe. Okay? So that was President Trump's official tweet, word for word, what he tweeted. Now, I just put, after he wins, I kind of hypothesized another tweet he might have made. And here that is. Future tweet from President Donald Trump, J. Trump, conceivable future tweet. The Democrat fake news establishment weaponized the coronavirus to give Sleepy Joe the victory in Michigan. They threw Bernie Sanders under the bus because they wanted to beat Donald J. Trump. The fake news media did not even support my call for a border wall to combat the coronavirus and future outbreaks. President Trump did say that this proves this incident with the coronavirus that we do need a wall. He did say that. Okay, so I injected that into a hypothetical tweet. The Michigan I won back in 2016 and President Trump did win Michigan in 2016 from Hillary Clinton. It was close, but he won it. Could never have gone for Sleepy Joe. Michigan will again go for Donald J. Trump in 2020. So the president, in essence, is saying here that in a way he's applying that they basically ganged up on Sleepy Joe because they wanted Bernie Sanders because they didn't want him, and they really got it together to get Bernie Sanders because they didn't think that Bernie Sanders could do as well as Joe Biden could in an election against Donald J. Trump. So they kind of just not the people who voted this way, not that the black voters went for big time for the former Vice President Joe Biden. None of that had anything to do with it. This was just a scheme, a plot to see to it that Bernie Sanders would not get the nomination by the Democrats because they did not want to see Joe Biden. They did not want to see Bernie Sanders, let's put it this way, excuse me. They didn't want to see Bernie Sanders up against Trump because that would have been like a kamikaze mission in a way. So that's basically that, okay? Enough said about that. All right, now here is a lot of times what I do is I see a scene, I see something from the news, and I just reach out and grab it with my pen and just jot it down and just draw the picture. And then I think to myself, there has to be a story here someplace. And then I listen to the news and I read and I focus in on things, what's going on. And then I subsequently put the story in. So a lot of times I say, there's a caption and we just got to nail it. We got to wait till things happen, develop, and see what happens. And kind of put it on hold for a while, a few hours, a day, and see what goes. But I see something, and I say, there it is. That's the scene. And this was one of those cases here where I saw that. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I just drew this right off the bat, what I saw from the situation at the CDC where President Trump was visiting a while ago. So I drew that, and then here we go. Trump at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention in Atlanta says his preference is that the over 3,500 people aboard the Grand Princess cruise ship in the waters off of California, where out of the 46 people who had been tested for coronavirus, 21 tested positive. That's a pretty big thing when you take that sample. Positive remain on the boat because their entry into the U.S. soil could make the country's coronavirus statistics increase. So President Trump is saying basically, we want those people to stay on the boat, stay on as long as you can to keep those numbers down. Whatever you got to go through, they got to go through because the numbers, once they get off the boat, the statistics are going to skyrocket, and it's going to make the president basically look bad for the stock market, look bad for his reelection. It seems that way. I mean, I ain't saying that, but that's the way it seems. Okay, you make the call on that. So anyway, below Trump's remarks and to the president's left, below Trump's remarks and to the president's left, the thoughts of CDC Director Dr. Robert Redfield might have had in real time as it was happening about Alex Azar, Secretary of Health and Human Services, standing to the right of the president. Okay, So here's Azar. You see, he was appointed by President Trump, and here's the CDC director. You see, he's just taking it all in. And from the picture, I looked at it, and I just see Azar just looking at President Trump, a little bit like Vice President Pence with his glare and looking up. So kind of like that. And I said to myself, well, there is something there. Azar, you know, he had been I think he was in the drug business. He had been a drug executive, and now he is in charge of the health situation here. So I said to myself, well, you know, we'll just work it at that. So anyway, so here's President Trump in the midst of these two people from the CDC and Azar here, and he's saying, I like the numbers being where they are. I don't need to have the numbers double because of one ship that wasn't our fault. So President Trump is saying, basically, the ship was outside of America. It wasn't their fault, our fault, that they developed this coronavirus because they didn't get it from Americans. They were all out at sea. Everything is coming in like from outer space. You know, we're not on one planet. There's us and there's them. So it's not our fault that this happened to the ship. You know, so he's taking that aspect. He's taking that position here, and then Azar here. So here is the director of the CDC, and he's looking a little bit. If you notice in the picture, if you get a picture, look at it. He's thinking deep. He has some deep. But anyway, here it goes. Azar looks like he's going to give Trump a kiss. I hope he waits till back in Washington we've had enough numbers of germs around the CDC for today. So he's concerned about the germs if he gives him a kiss that would be unleashed around the CDC. And it looks, you know, and here I drew Azar a little bit like to bring him in close here, like he's puckering his lips a little bit, you know. I did that, you know, in a humorous jest to make it look, you know, he did look like he was had great admiration for the president, in all honesty, but he didn't pucker his lips the way I drew him here. You know, I really try to inject a little humor, which is, well, I'm trying here to give you a laugh in the facts, and you, like I always say, you decide. So there it is, you know. One more last. There it is. There's President Trump with his hands out, and here's the CD director looks at what the hell's going on here. So anyway, that was that one. That did very well on the impressions. Okay. Almost 1,000, I think. Okay, now here is, again, an interesting cartoon. Okay, here's the characters. Here's President Trump tweeting from the roof of the White House. Here's his tweet up here with the tweeter bird, and here's President Trump hanging on there to the tweet. And here is the White House, President Trump. And here's Mitch McConnell, and there's the Capitol. Mitch McConnell is like, kind of like in a praying position here in front of the Capitol, waiting to see what President Trump is going to say in his tweet. He's looking up to the sky. It's a bird, it's a plane, no, it's a tweet. You know, that kind of thing. So here we go. Trump endorses legislation in a Friday night tweet encouraging lawmakers to vote in favor of measure that would allow for free testing and paid sick leave. So he's basically tweeting he endorses that, the president. Nobody really knew what he was going to do. So anyway, there's been some variation between what the president says and what happens, and so nobody was really sure. And so anyway, continue with this on the coronavirus bill. Allow for free testing and paid sick leave on coronavirus bill. Ending hours of confusion about whether he would back the bill. Leading Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, to cancel a recess plan for next week. Oh, shucks, we got to stay in this town another week for this. I wanted to get on home. And that's Mitch McConnell, you know. I call him Sing Along Mitch because he sings along with the president, basically, on things. And anyway, so the thing was that in this situation, that they really wasn't sure because President Trump, he wanted a payroll tax cut, you see, and a payroll tax cut is a progressive thing, where the more money you make, the more money you don't have to give. You save. The higher, if you get a tax break on the payroll, people making more money save more money. So it's a progressive thing, you know? So it favors the wealthy more than the wealthier you are, the more advantage of that payroll tax cut you get. See, and if people get that, they're still gonna go out and buy as much. You can't get, if there's no toilet paper around and you got all that money, there's nothing you can do. You can't, no matter how much money you get, and there's no toilet paper, all the money in the world ain't gonna buy you toilet paper. If you get the payroll tax cut, it ain't going to do you too much good. If there's no toilet paper around and you don't have any at home and the supermarkets are empty, a payroll tax cut ain't going to do you no good. So the idea being that the idea is to hammer in on the virus and stop it in its tracks and get the respirators out, the ventilators, and get the testing out and things like that, and really push that hard and get the people just to be able to stay home with paid sick leave, and that's how you really do it. The tax break, you know, and President Trump did say, well, the Democrats aren't doing enough. They really aren't doing enough. Enough for who? You know, so I said what I had to say. You draw your own conclusions, okay? So here's the Capitol, here's Mitch McConnell, here's Sing Along Mitch. That's how I call it. Years ago, there was like a thing, they had this show called Sing Along with Mitch. He got with a beard, and you people of my age remember that show. He used to sing, and he had his whole orchestra, and people used to sing, and they used to go and sing along with Mitch. So I call him Sing Along Mitch McConnell. You know, he sings along with President Trump, not to his people, but not to that type of thing. Okay. So here is, again, here's Mitch McConnell kneeling here, and he's saying, one thing is for sure, recess is canceled. The president still wants those emergency payroll tax cuts for his rich folks. We can't vote for something like this without another smoke signal. It's like a smoke signal coming out of the White House, you see. Smoke signal. Without another smoke signal, nobody wants to be in deep shit with the president. With deep shit with who? The president. Because President Trump has tweeted things, and he's gone back and forth. So there's no real. He could have just done this to keep us in town, you know, to keep us around, to build the suspense, and then say, well, you still haven't done enough, really, truly for the people without getting that payroll tax cut. So anyway, that's the story on that one. This did all very well, and a lot of you enjoyed this on Twitter. So. There it is, the Capitol, the White House, President Trump tweeting the tweet, and sing along, Mitch McConnell. Okay. Now, el numero uno de la semana, number one of the week. This really surprised me, but it was a big, a lot of people enjoyed this one. This is numero uno. Okay, now here, who we've got here? We have President Trump shaking hands with the Brazilian president here. Let me read this to you so we get this straightened out, so you get and then we'll have a go at the cartoon. Okay, this is Bolsonaro, President Yara Bolsonaro at Mar-a-Lago with President Trump, and they're shaking hands. See, with the American flag in the background, shaking hands. This is at Mar-a-Lago when they all got together there. Okay, so following Trump meeting at Mar-a-Lago with a Brazilian official, this is not the Brazilian official that he's shaking hands with. This is a man, I don't know if he shook hands with him or not, but this is a little different here. Meeting at Mar-a-Lago with a Brazilian official who tested positive for coronavirus. White House Press Secretary Stephanie Grisham says in a statement that Trump had almost no interactions with the individual who tested positive and does not require being tested at this time. Well, he was there, and people who were there did get sick. A guy in Miami, Florida, he was there. He got it. So it was like Russian roulette, you know. Whether you get it or not, that's what it appears to be, a game of Russian roulette. Where if you go that bullet, and then boom. So that's what it appears to be, because he did get it, he was there. Whether he got it from there or not, again, that's another question. But, you know, it's all It's all still Russian roulette, no matter how you look at it. So anyway, this meeting is, apparently because it was an aide to Bolsonaro, okay, let's put it this way, I'm not concerned. Apparently because it was an aide to Bolsonaro who was also at Mar-a-Lago and stood and sat next to Trump, who tested positive for COVID-19. So here's President Trump shaking hands with Bolsonaro, see? Now, Bolsonaro might have shaken hands with the guy who had it, although Trump didn't shake hands with the aide, the official who had, or press secretary, who I think he was the press secretary for Bolsonaro. He didn't shake hands, but Bolsonaro might have shaken hands with the aide, saying nice job and everything, good job going with the press, and then shook hands with President Trump. I mean, all these ramifications, it's infinite, really, what could happen, you know? It could have been a busboy who had it, nobody even knows about it, who might have brought it into it. Who knows? It's a mystery. It's a mystery. So anyway, here's President Trump, what he did in the tweet, responding to that future tweet. This is a hypothetical future tweet. President Trump did not tweet this. I fabricated this up based upon past performance and just a conceivable tweet from President Trump. Okay. My contact with Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro's press secretary, who tested positive, was perfect. We sat next to each other for a period of time and had a perfect conversation, like my perfect conversation with the president of Ukraine. So again, the president did go back in the past and when in reference with the coronavirus, and he talked about it being perfect. The tests, he said the tests were the coronavirus tests were perfect, like his perfect conversation with the president of Ukraine. The tests are perfect. The ventilators are perfect. So he didn't say the ventilators. He said the tests were perfect. The tests, just the tests. He said the tests were perfect, and like my conversation with the president of Ukraine. So I took the liberty of injecting into a possible conceivable future tweet from the president because he tends to bring this up quite often. He injects that in, you know, he just injects it in. It reminds me when I used to go bowling. I used to get a red pin. You know that red pin. The first thing, if you got a strike on the red pin, you got a free game. So it's like a red pin that comes up. Every so often you get a red pin. It's a Ukraine perfect conversation comes up in the number one pin position. So that's how that went. Okay. So anyway, folks, I want to thank you very much for watching my Trump cartoon countdown for the week. And if you want to see my up-to-date cartoons, all you have to do is go to my website, which is Richard's Books of PoliticalCartoons.com. And it's no spaces, small letters, and no apostrophe or punctuation, just like Richard's Books of PoliticalCartoons.com. And again, no spaces, no punctuation on the Richards, just like a whole bunch of Richards. Richard's Books of PoliticalCartoons.com. No spaces, no apostrophe S. And also, it's on Twitter, it's Bronx Cartoonist at RJF Cartoons. And also, I'd like to, you can see this on Twitter, some of my books here. Did I bring them with me? Let me see. There we go. Oh, well, I guess I forgot to bring my books with me, folks. Oh, there they are. Here they are. Okay. I'm more interested in entertaining you than I am having you buy my book, I think. You know, I got my cartoons that organized. Okay, this is, again, the latest book that I wrote. All cartoons here from this edition 2 from July to December of 2019. And here, okay, see some of the things, and you look back on incidents and events. Here's with if you all watch Hogan's Heroes, this is Schultz, where President Trump was saying, "I don't know nothing." So I imitated Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. Schultz, if you remember Sergeant Schultz from Hogan's Heroes. So that was stuff like that, you know. So anyway, and here is the other book, edition 1 from 2019, and this is from January to June. And this book, again, goes back to all the controversial issues. Here is, I'll show you, I'll give you one sample. Here's President Trump as a Roman emperor with the Colosseum and the lion there, you see? And he's dreaming himself as a Roman emperor. And the punchline here is, people have done evil and treasonous things. They will be given free tickets to our Colosseum here, you know? People who have done treacherous and evil stuff will be given free tickets to the Colosseum. On the inside of the Colosseum, there's a lion waiting for them to greet them, you see? There's President Trump as a Roman emperor. And I think they called him ancient Roman emperor known as Donald Tiberius Trump. Donald Tiberius Trump. You know, so, okay. Anyway, I do this in a way that you have a laugh and you get the facts and you decide on how you want to go with this. Here is, I just picked this out randomly. Here's the old, remember this lady here, the old princess? Here's Trump with the former prosecutor. He's in the ring, and he goes, see that? In my opinion, you should end this witch hunt probe. See, he's saying here, okay? And then he goes, watch my rope-a-dope, folks. You know, he's saying, watch my rope-a-dope, folks. It's in the ring there. Okay. And let's see here. Okay, here's Trump at University, Trump at Barbecue University. Okay, this is class of 2020, Barbecue University. Trump gives a farewell speech to the graduating seniors here. There they are, the seniors. And here he's dreaming about this, giving this speech out. Okay, he's dreaming about it. This is a dream he has. It's presenting to Barbecue University. They're the graduates. Here's President Trump with his, graduating cap on, and here's Barbecue University. And what did he say? He says, class of 2020, it will serve you well to remember that what you read and what you hear is not happening. That incredible knowledge can make any of you a future president of the United States. So again, I tried to fit the humor with the facts and give it to you, you know, in a way that you decide. And I hope you enjoy these cartoons. And I advise you, and I hope you will, you know, stay well and watch out for yourselves. Where you know, not to get around too many large groups of people, and stay out of groups, and just to stay well. And I'm having pretty much success with it myself. I try my best to do things early in the day, the things I have to do, the exercise early in the day when it's nice and peaceful around. And I think a lot of people, I think we can do very well if we just follow common sense things and take care of ourselves. And I hope you all will do that. Take care of yourselves, stay out of large groups. And if you like to go to rock concerts and things like that, I'm sure better days are coming. I'm sure down the road, there's never been a plague or a virus in the history of mankind that was not defeated in the long run, because here we are 2020, the human race is still around. So there's some hope. So that's what I would leave you with, that thought, is that nothing is, again, maybe I'll sound like a little President Trump, but I say nothing is forever, and if we follow common sense and deal with this emergency, whatever it takes to do, we do it. We have to do it. We can't dismiss it as a hoax or as some sort of a political maneuver to get us excited or to turn against anybody, or to even to to who we should vote for. I mean, this is something we're all in it together, and I would hope that our political leaders will get to that point and realize that, and not try to pass it around like a hot potato and things like that. So with that, I want to wish you all folks stay well, take care of yourselves, and I'll say it again, God bless America, and stay well. Bye.